I'm very happy that today Mongolia is enriched by, and the world in fact, enriched by several young, dynamic, knowledgeable people. I saw this energy, wonderful, because without that energy, we cannot be that global citizens in this world. So today I would like to talk about why Mongolia is global. Second, how to make yourself better person to live with. Third, make Mongolia a country you would like to live in. So within these three topics I would like to share. First, about global world. International schools and universities are new norm now in this country. This very fact, in this tiny country of 3 million, we have this sort of graduates of different countries. I was so proud of to see our neighbors, our immediate neighbors, and a little bit for distant neighbors. That's wonderful, because it shows the world is small and global. And the language we speak now is the language we communicate. I'm so happy to see that happening in this country. The third, we live more and more becoming digital world. You know, 2 months ago, we had the Freedom Online Coalition Conference in Mongolia. It's the first Asian country to host that conference. And the 5th conference happened here. I was in last year in Tallinn. You know what we talked? Internet is human right. It's our indispensable right, ladies and gentlemen. And Mongolia can prove it with your knowledge, language, and IT. And Mongolia is a part of this global world, as we have talked. Mongolia is a landlocked, but not mind-locked. You know, I was told this morning that your IM class motto is truly global and deeply Mongolian. Fantastic. Congratulations with that. If a country can be global, Mongolia can prove it. Because we are in this part of the world with 2 large neighbors, with a young community. Half of this population is under 30 years old. And very well-educated nation. So we will, and you will, show that we can do it. You will do it because you have these 2 important tools today: English and IT, digital knowledge. Now, it doesn't matter where you are now, in Mongolia, in New York, in London, you travel and you will see that as soon as you are with your laptop, you are there, anywhere you want. In fact, developing countries like Mongolia and people like you can prove it. And Mongolia can have such a leapfrog that people empowered with knowledge, dream, vision, can change not only your nation, whole world. There are all services almost online. If there are some services not online, that's your work. Do it. This morning I was at the business summit in Ichtinger before I coming here. Our president was giving a speech and he said, for last 2 years, after this mining boom busted, we have, out of all companies, registered in the country. 80% are IT companies. What a news, isn't it? Mongolia can be different. In Mongolia, we are very sharp on mining world in the world, mining map of the world. And now we will be shining star on IT map of the world. You will do it. Why? Because now you think not only about this 3 million people's market, think bigger. There is 7 billion people. That's your market. So the future is in your hand. That's why nobody is worrying, because it's in the hand of good people. Correct? Good, thank you. You know, you have heard, of course, there's a Pareto rules, 20 to 80%. 80% of income goes 20% of the people. Do you know that? And certainly you will be there in that 20%. Today, short-term maybe within 10%, down the road 5%. Why? If you do, you will be a person recognized by your people in your industry, unconditionally recognized. So what can we do for that? That's some thoughts I would like to share. So what does it take to be there, this 20% cohort? What are the main principles that will make your journey effective and joyful? I said, not productive, but effective. So that's why I just suggest you two things. First, how to make yourself better person to live with. Important thing here is not where you are starting from. All that matters is where you are doing, or what are you doing, and in which place you are doing that. As a boy, born and raised in the outskirts of the city, in Dээд district, in the family of blue-collar workers, I was always dreaming. I will go one day to these stars or to these shining lights of this Ulaanbaatar city. I will live there. Of course, those days, and unfortunately even these days, a lot of lights are not there in this Dээд district. I wanted to go big. Something, I don't know, but I want to do something big. That was a dream, somehow could not formulate at that time. So I thought later on, yeah, goal is important. Everybody talks about that, but it's actually very important. It saves time, money. And when we say about goal, we talk about the strategy. And I had encountered with a wonderful book called Blue Strategy. Blue means you do something that nobody has been doing before. Because if you go to a business where somebody is doing already, you have a red strategy. You have a fight with blood. So blue strategy, that's what I think you think. That's why I suggested at the beginning, think about 6 billion people market. That's why when you have a vision and dream, you dig in more. Then you will be focused because you have a goal, strategy, and vision. Without that, it's very hard to focus. For that, just start by doing what is necessary from tomorrow. Then do what is possible. Then one day you will find that you can do it impossible. Theodore Roosevelt, the American president I liked very much, he said, do what you can with what you have and where you are. I could not formulate in that way when I was a young boy. But I think it was that there's something that was inside of me. I want to do the things. In my poor poverty area, with whatever we haven't much. We have a ger, and my father later on couldn't work anymore. He was working as a carpenter, then a silverman in the iron plant. That's the direct name was here. We had a factory before here. So with these words, I started 6 years ago my TV show. At the beginning, the show, I came with the words I like. These are the words. In Mongolian, I came out and I said, do what you have, wherever you are, whatever you can. And I started to do interview. Now today, I interviewed about 300 or so people, interesting people in the world. Mongolians, foreigners who visit the country, presidents, kings, queens, princesses. Then I found out that I am becoming a sort of bridge of these people with ordinary Mongolians who otherwise don't and cannot meet these people. And by the way, in one of the interviews, I encountered with a lady, 20 years old, blind Mongolian lady, who had done herself, her university, had done degree, went to the US, made master, and she worked in the library of the Congress of the United States. And she's now working in Mongolia. She'd be about 30 years old. And I asked her, what is the most important thing in your life, Oyanga? She said, after a few seconds thought, maybe the most important thing is a goal. The rest is technical. I could not speak for some time because I wanted many Mongolians, young people who has eyes, saying these words. So up today, I do now on 3 channels. I'm invited to National TV and Eagle TV. And I thought I will make one video and then it will go through these channels. They said, no, you do original with us. So I suddenly have 3 times more works a week now. Good thing is, there are a lot of good people to meet and to talk. And I like asking questions. Yesterday in the morning, I interviewed Mr. Donald Rumsfeld, the Defense Secretary of the US, for 2 times. Very interesting, 83 years old guy, very energetic, full of humor. He was a fantastic interview. You will see that after we subtitled that in Mongolian. So, with this goal, with this energy you have, you will be an interesting person to live. That's what is about life every day. Second, how to make your country, our country, better place to live in. You know, I was giving a speech at University College of London 2 weeks ago about the lessons of 25 years transition of Mongolia, economic, political, and I would think spiritual. And really, to reissue some points with you today about the value of democracy and free market. Because I see nowadays, recently, in particular yesterday at the parliament, they are somehow confusing foreign investors. And under certain circumstances that make them popular before election, they have postponed a very important project in Mongolia. You know, why democratic capitalism is the best? I asked that question from His Holiness Dalai Lama last December in New Delhi, India. I exactly asked this question. Why, Dalai Lama, you think that, do you agree with me if I say that democratic capitalism is the best form of human society? So I'm listening. He said, yes, I completely agree. Oh, really? Why? He said, very simple. He said, democracy is important because this world belongs to its 7 billion inhabitants, not to leader, president, political, and religious leader. So whatever they decide better themselves. That's the democracy is about. That's what Mongolia had selected 25 years ago. I was one of the students, demonstration organizers, leaders here. And you know, by that time, 1990, students were the only organized group that was a driving force of this change in this country. So, when a country is doing triple transition, political, economic, and spiritual, it is not easy. Who said it is easy? Now, many countries are fighting to do this transition now. Some countries achieved what we have achieved during 25 years for a century. It cost a lot of blood, a lot of lives. So now it's a time when you to be a part of that transition. Wherever you work, you will be a part of it. And I want you to be that positive part of that transition. For that, you need to understand what is exactly was 25 years ago and what we want to do now. Just few words. In political transitions, we have to still to do several things. This country could be managed much better if we have less corruption. And the source of corruption in Mongolia is political parties, because they do not declare where the money comes from. We demand them transparency of their money, where this one is coming from. Because it's secret, they are selling our public positions. If you contribute big money to your political party, you are guaranteed to have the best position possible in this country. Pay lower positions. How come? Who is going to stop it? Unless you will do it. I try, many people try, but it's a matter of inside. We want to have this, not only political parties transparent, we want to have electorate committee, not election committee, which is today consisting of leaders of political parties. We want to be a part of electorate committee. We want to see non-partisan, reliable, intelligent, respected Mongolians to be on the board so that we have fair, correct election. That's what we want to do in political transition. So those who is going to that direction, please have that in mind. Be the leader. Be exactly the leader that you can show yourself. That when you go to a public service, you are coming to serve the others. Not yourself, not your relatives, not to make house, not to have bribes. In economic transition, what we are missing. This state, our government, still keeps remain as a socialist state. They control price. They restrict price. You know what happens with the price when it's controlled? It's wrong information. As you know, money is not only means of exchange. This contains information. When information on the market wrong, it's hard to make the right decisions, right? So, first thing is, let's have free price. Second, let's have a small government. Let's privatize state-owned enterprises. In fact, there is no state-owned enterprises in Mongolia. There is a party-owned enterprises. If you have noticed, whenever election comes, if different political party comes, they immediately replace the CEOs of state-owned companies with their own people. What does it tell you? It tells that party owns, well, we know one thing, party owns political power, positions. But we don't know that party owns own companies. So we don't have these political parties yet who really has a leadership in the society. In terms of spiritual transition, the word is coming from probably my interview with Dalai Lama, and I suddenly found out myself, I'm going to interview Dalai Lama, His Holiness, Buddhist monk, on behalf of our Buddhists. Then I suddenly thought again, are we Buddhists? No, we more tend to have sort of more shamanistic, more different. We are becoming, at times, we are losing ourselves. People more and more believe in Bo, in the shaman. If we don't believe in ourselves, of course, there will be certain power that we have to believe. So that spiritual leadership question will be raised every day in front of you. And I'm certainly sure that, I'm sure that you have a well-equipped to see that the owner of our life is ourselves, nobody else, no shaman, no lama, nobody. And that's why I would like to quote again another president, JFK, John F. Kennedy, who was the youngest president of the United States, and at his inaugural speech he said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." This is echoing today in this country. My first book is named like this, in Mongolian. Ta ichorni do, you hichatchwe. What you can do for your country. So this is the time to ask yourself these questions. Why? Because our representatives don't do that. So we have to ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Democracy does not make all rich one day. That's the lessons we are learning every day. Democracy is no longer the right to be equal. It's the equal right to be different. That's what we are learning and accepting. Today we struggle, yes. But where there is no struggle, there is no strength. Two months ago I was in Japan, and I encountered a very wise man who told me about Hachi. Hachi is the symbol that in Japanese show the root, or Fuji. Also you can write with these symbols. And Hachi means also 8, the number 8. And he said, in fact, he said, if you measure perfection, and you should measure your achievements, the most perfect thing is measured by 10. And it's met usually by the nature. Human can reach only 8, Hachi. And he said, the only Mongolian I know at Hachi or coming to Hachi is Hakuho, our sumo wrestler. I said, why? Oh, because he's not paying much attention, win or not win. He is paying very well attention his wrestling process. That's what I think about a process to get Hachi. And certainly, everybody today wants to be at Hachi, and I want to see you after 20 years at Hachi as well. Thank you. So, young man, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is not how big you are, it's how big you play. 6 years ago, I was No, this is about not TV. I'm talking about my columns now. You know, I was executive in a financial world, I was CEO of commercial bank, leasing company, and doing successful businesses. I was a paid knowledge worker for owners of these companies. But I started to write because people were not writing. So I started to write article as we speak today, 60th year, and I started to write about political and economic, social hard issues in the country. Then in a week after, I started to translate it into English. Well, the next, in 3 days, the newspaper called, where is your next one? When is your next one is coming? I said, maybe a month. I said, no, column works every week, sir. All right, so I had to write every week. And it, you know, at the end, after 2 years, it cost my job, you know, I'm not anymore any executive, you know, I don't have any highest position. My highest position today is a husband of my wife. You know. She may fire me, but nobody else, you know, there's nothing to fire from me, you know, from. So I start to write every week. I write 6 years, and I never missed a week. It hit now about 300 or so articles. I made books. And because I was writing in 2 languages, I made 2 books, because it's also in English. And what happened? From last year or so, I started to receive invitations from universities around the world who are interested, who studies Mongolia. And I gave a speech at the MIU, Australian National University, University of Denver, my school, and Cambridge, UCL in Japan, Asia Pacific, and I go next week to Oxford, to another conference. Why? Because there is a consistency, writing, reflecting independent view on issues that politicians sometimes exaggerate or with certain purpose. So what I suggest is just be consistent. Oh, it is not easy. Wherever you go, whatever you do, you're right. Not easy. So that's the thing I suggest you to make Mongolia a better place to live. And my thoughts would be when you change yourself and when you change your country, both making better directions into the better directions, there's one common denominator that I want to share with you, my last ideas. First, listen. Listen to people. Because listening is never taught in any schools. Reading is taught, speaking is taught. There are 6 ways of communication, but listening, nobody taught you. Listen carefully. You will see how important is this. And by the way, 50% of your conversation must be listening, not speaking. Second, be positive. Be always positive. There will be next train, there will be next bus to your station. Always be positive. The third, and this is said by Inamori-san. Kazuo Inamori is a very famous person like Sony Company's Akio Morita in Japan. And I had honor to interview him also in Japan a couple of months ago. And he said, respect the divine, love the people, he said. In Mongolian, he presented me a book with this sign. In Mongolian translation would be Tingrik Hundil Hunig Khairil. Inamori-san, you please read about Inamori-san's books. Very famous, humble, 80 plus years, energetic man. I was so honored and it inspired meeting him. So the last point I want to tell you is be modest. Be modest. It is not very common culture in our society. We too much praise each other, you know. We call each other, you know, centuries, galactics, worlds, the best. No, not that way. Be humble. Do your job well. The final point, which Inamori-san said, be bold when you make decisions. Be bold from tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much.